Welcome to another University of Scranton Chemistry Lab tutorial, this time for the Atomic Absorption Instrument, or AA for short. Now the first step is not actually at the instrument itself, but rather at these gas canisters. The one with the valve that is being turned right now contains acetylene. There are instructions on these gauges up here, but these two important ones are to not let the left one go above 15 psi, and to not let the right one go below 85 psi. The next thing you have to do is also turn on another valve for regular airflow. Once all that is done, the AA instrument itself can then be started. The first thing to do is, of course, to flick on the power switch and open the software. It's easily recognizable. It's the only non-default icon on there. And if you're still not sure, you can see where my mouse is positioned right here. Now, in these experiments, you will always be looking for a specific metal. So you need to make sure that you have a corresponding lamp already loaded in the AA instrument. In this case, since we're searching for lead, we don't need to change out any of the lamps and we can safely close it up. But if you ever needed to replace any lamps and you don't know where they are, they're in this shelf beneath the computer. There's several in there, including other ones that might be measured like silver and gold. Now, before taking any actual measurements, you need to perform two more steps. The first is to open the Lamps tab, and under there, click on the element that you will be observing. From there, the lamp will be put into position and will be set up. The second is to go to the method editor, or MEthEd for short, in the tabs. When that shows up, you must select the element that you will be observing again. Once you've done that, none of these other parameters have to be changed, so you can just click OK out of those. Next is to ignite the flame. Sometimes you may use a lighter for it, but other times it'll just ignite on its own, which is what we will be showing here. It may take a couple tries, so if the first time is not successful, don't worry. Simply try it again, because it could just turn on the second time. Once the flame is ignited, you can start getting your measurements. The first measurement must be done with a blank, which means that it will be just the plain solvent with nothing else in it. How the AA instrument actually analyzes your samples is it uses a very thin straw to suck up whatever you place it in. So it's important to make sure that nothing is obstructing that straw in any way, shape, or form. Meanwhile, on the software, open up the Material tab, which has a green Erlenmeyer flask icon. And you'll see two options. You can either analyze blank or analyze sample. And of course, for this, we want to analyze blank. If you're curious about the numbers you receive, you can always click on the Results tab above. However, for this blank, it's not exactly necessary. Loading a sample will be done in almost the exact same way as loading your blank, except on the software itself you must hit the Analyze Sample button instead of the Analyze Blank button, which will be on the right of the Materials window instead of the left. This is also where opening the Results tab is necessary in order for you to actually obtain your results. Once all your measurements are complete, you can then open up the Flame tab and turn the flame off. However, do not touch anything else until the next step is done, which will be at the gas tanks. Over at the acetylene tank, now you can turn it off by rotating it clockwise. Once that's done, back at the software, now you can click the Bleed Gases button once the acetylene is turned off. Now it's important to go back to the tanks just to ensure that the acetylene is actually off and isn't still moving. So to do that, you have to ensure that the gauge is below 85 psi. Ideally close to 0. If it's not, then hit the Bleed Gases button a second time. You can leave the airflow valve running since air is a lot less dangerous than acetylene. And after that, the final step is simply to X out of the software. It'll ask you if you want to save the changes to your method. You really don't have to, and we actually recommend that you don't. And then finally, the last step is to hit the off switch. You don't need to log off of the computer, and you're all done.